This is George L. Masri. You're listening to the Well Off Podcast, and today I interviewed Josh Doyle. Josh is a 30-year-old entrepreneur and real estate investor. He's passionate about financial freedom and living life on his terms. He started off working for Mattamy Homes and then decided while working there that he wants to escape the rat race. He doesn't want to continue living financially the way he has, and that led to him doing a lot of research and purchasing his first property in 2014. Today, he's got 10 properties, 30 units, and he has achieved financial freedom. So on this episode, we actually covered his story, how he started out, how he was able to repair his credit and learn a bunch of things when he was purchasing his first property. Just a lot of bad things that he had learned from family and from just his surroundings as growing up. So by repairing his credit and doing all this research, he was able to really transform his life. We also break down a deal that he did, a triplex that he bought in Hamilton, the purchase price, how he was able to remove 2 of the tenants so that he can renovate, fix them up, rent them at a higher rate, and also then refinance soon after. So we covered those numbers. There's a lot of good stuff in here, and you're really going to enjoy this. I just want to remind you that if you enjoy listening to this podcast, please do share it with friends and family and leave us a review on iTunes or on the Apple Podcasts app. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to connect with me, I offer some free reports. So first of all, you can just reach out welloff.ca. My contact info is there. And if you want to download some free reports and learn a little bit more about real estate investing, you can go to welloff.ca/reports. Enjoy the episode and enjoy the rest of your day. Welcome to the Well Off Podcast, where the goal is to motivate, inspire, and share success principles. I'm here with Josh Doyle, who is a 30-year-old serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, and he's passionate about financial freedom and living life on his terms. Josh worked for Mattamy Homes, which is a home builder, and while working with them, it kind of led to obsessing over understanding investing and how to escape the rat race. So he bought his first place in 2014. Today, he's got 8 properties, 25 units, and he has achieved financial freedom. So Josh, welcome to the show. I'm happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me, man. Super pumped to be here. Got to update that bio because I just purchased a property last week. So we're up to 2 properties. I'm up to 10 properties and 30 doors. So
nice. Congrats.
Yeah, man. Nice even numbers there.
Yeah, great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up, and maybe 1 or 2 things you remember from then?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I grew up in Burlington, Ontario, like born and raised, good family, nothing too important about my childhood, really, other than the fact that I was never really a normal kid. Like I didn't hang out with kids that often and play with toys and stuff. My hobby or favorite thing to do was actually to sit around the dinner table and listen and hang out with all the adults. So I think that kind of contributed to where I'm at today, but we can get into that after. Other than that, grew up in Burlington, nothing too special. I went to high school, never graduated college or university or anything like that. I basically left high school and went right into working. So that's when I went and started working for Mattamy Homes as a general labor. And yeah, that's kind of my path. I can get further into, how I progressed through everything if you would like, or.
Yeah, sure. Tell us about that. What was it that while working for Mattamy, what sparked the interest in becoming financially free and escaping the rat race?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So, and it's kind of a 2-part. I think the first part for financial independence is it goes back to my childhood, right? And being around adults growing up a lot of the time. My family was never well off, so to speak, like your podcast, but my family was never really well off, right? They made ends meet, but it was always a paycheck to paycheck kind of family. And spending that amount of time around adults, all I ever got to hear was financial problems, right? They were always talking about who owed who money in the family, why they didn't like this person this week, and then they liked them the next week because they got paid back their loan or they didn't get paid back their loan. And, I always grew up being told, don't answer that 1-800 number because it could be the utility company or the credit card company calling and they're asking for money, right? So these are the type of things that I kind of grew up around, and that sparked my interest around money in general at a young age. It led me into more of an entrepreneurial pursuit because I just, I would start working for minimum wage like the average person would, and then it just wouldn't cut it for me. Like I always had just a need for more money, I think, because I didn't want to experience the same hardship that my family had experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got into working for Mattamy Homes, that was, my first like big break of making good money. And I was making $19 an hour to start, right? So that was the general labor. I was making probably more than most people in my family at the time. So, my family they were proud of me. They're like, okay, you didn't go to school, but you're making, decent money. You're making 50 grand a year. So like so on and so forth. But still, once again, that wasn't really enough for me. And when I was working at Mattamy, when I started off there, I was a general laborer. So I would spend all day going around picking up like, garbage on the construction site, building materials, throwing it out, basically cleaning the place up. And I always saw for sale signs, like as soon as the house was built, for sale signs would go up right away. And I was like, what are these people doing? And I would always see people middle of the day going to their properties, just checking them out, putting for sale signs up. And it piqued my curiosity because I was like, how are people like, do these people not work? And like, why are they selling their houses like as soon as they basically get possession of them? So that kind of led me down the rabbit hole of real estate investing. And I started, I started Googling like how to make money investing in real estate or how to buy real estate and stuff like that. And that led me to Rich Dad Poor Dad, of course, and a whole whack load of self-help books and self-development. And then, here basically I am today, buying real estate. So that's how it all unfolded.
Cool. So you bought your first place in 2014, right? That was
Yes.
early. You're 20. I'm assuming you were 24 years old at the time.
Correct.
How did that happen?
Yeah, so I actually had the opportunity to buy a pre-construction new build from Mattamy Homes because that was all the rave at the time, right? It was stand outside the sales office, wait for the property to be completed, and then wait for the sales office to open up, get your lock in your spot, and then by the time it was built a year or two later, you made $100 grand. It's like it was like that. So I was like, I'm going to make $100 grand. Like that's how I'm going to do it. Yeah. And sure enough, that is how I did it. But basically I had the opportunity to go and I didn't have to stand in line. So I was able to get first pick at a property because I was an employee.
Yeah.
So I went in, I bought a townhouse. Even though the banks wouldn't pre-qualify me at the time, sure enough, I had poor credit because the people that I was taught from also had poor credit, right? So you are who you hang around with. And, basically every broker laughed at me and said, it's going to take a couple of years to repair your credit. So what I did was I put the down payment on the property through Mattamy Homes. And I figured, okay, you know what? I've got about a year's time to improve my credit while giving them the installment payments. And I should be able to get there. So I didn't know anything about creative financing and any of those exits that I could have done. But in my eyes, I took the risk. I could have lost my deposit. And, that's how I got into my first property. So what I did was I was able to save up enough capital for 20% down by the time the property closed. Mm-hmm. And when it came to the signing table at the bank, the lady looked at me and said, listen, number one, you've improved your credit so much. Number one, we can give you the mortgage. And number two is you qualify for CMHC financing as a first-time home builder or buyer. Sorry. So instead of putting the 20% down, I actually leveraged the property. I put 5% down. Nice. So that kept capital back in my pocket, which then allowed me to roll into the second property immediately.
So how did you do that? So through a builder, when you buy a new home, they have a deposit structure. So it'll be like after X months, you have to put X dollars, and then 6 months later, X dollars. And typically that will amount to 20% of the purchase price, usually.
Yes.
So you were doing that, but then when you went to sign the mortgage docs, you said you qualify for 5% down. So did the builder pay you back the deposit you had put down, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I believe that the deposit structure back then, it didn't equal up to 20%.
Okay.
It equaled up to, it was a much significant amount lower, but I had the 20% in my bank account basically. Okay. Yeah, I didn't actually give them the 20%. I just had it saved up.
Got it. Okay. That's cool. Yeah. I don't know too much about the whole financing process when it's a new build. Like I know there's the deposit structure and then you can qualify for the mortgage later on. You don't have to initially qualify for it, but that's awesome. I've been reflecting on this a lot because you took a big risk when you started out. Like you didn't know you were going to qualify for that mortgage. You didn't know if you were going to be able to repair your credit in time. but you believed in the product that you were buying, and you knew you could do something. And that must have been a very scary time, but pushing forward, it led to a lot of good things, right?
It was, man. To be honest, I've always been a risk taker, but and I'm glad I did take that risk. Like I believe I had roughly 40,000 on the line. That's what I contributed to the home builder. And then I believe that's if I didn't close on the property, I think that was what was up at risk. And at that time, that's a lot of money.
Which is like more, actually,
that's almost 100% of my salary.
Yeah, for the year.
Yeah, like pre-tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
So it was absolutely. And my wife was a part of that as well. She wasn't my wife at the time, but we kind of buckled down and like, man, I had a very bad credit. I had 2 credit cards that were maxed out. I had never paid off the credit cards before. It was always just minimum payment at a month. Sometimes I would miss them. Like it was a bad situation. So complete 180 from there. It's amazing what a little bit of financial independence or financial education can do for you.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay. So tell us where you're at now. Like you said, you have 10 properties now, or you're closing on your 10th.
Yep.
30 doors. So what does your investment journey look like today?
Yeah. So in terms of like, what am I doing today?
What are you doing? Are you holding on to your, because obviously when you start out, you buy certain types of properties, and as you advance, that might change, right?
Got you.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started off, my second property was a single family home. Since then, I have not bought in a single family home unless it was for the purpose to convert into something bigger and better. So as I've kind of progressed, like as you've seen, and probably a lot of your listeners, the value of properties has gone up so significantly in Southwestern Ontario that it's made it very challenging in order to cash flow on a single family home, right? Yeah. So this is either force people to go to other markets or stay within their market and get creative. And so one thing that I learned, from Rockstar, and that you used to work with Rockstar as well, is that, and I learned this from an investor I used to mentor under there, is that the best way to make money in real estate is to add value to a property. So that's what I gotten from them through a handful of other tactics and techniques that we can go into. But what I do basically in a nutshell is I buy properties that I see that it's not operating at its highest and best use. Like maybe it's a single family home and I can go in there and turn it into 2 units or 3 units and 4 units. So that's exactly what I do now, is I seek out opportunities that are either under market value, or they can be at market value, but I can force the value high enough that it still meets my or my partner's investment criteria.
Yeah. And that's awesome, because there's so many ways you can improve the value of a property, either by adding a unit or renovating or converting the use, or there's like tons of ways to do it. And you just accelerate the refi process, which allows you to draw out money.
That's right.
Are you still like doing stuff on your own, or are you partnering? Are you qualifying for mortgages yourself? What does it look like for you?
Yeah. So I can't qualify for any residential mortgages myself. I'm unemployed, and a lot of people say unemployable. But basically the banks won't lend me money because I don't have a T4 income. They will, but I have to go through other creative finances like commercial financing and stuff like that. So I shouldn't say they won't. Most of my projects are owned with joint venture partners. Yep. So I don't only get creative with the property, I get creative with the deal, right? So I'll find something where I can add value to partners and add value to a property as well. So I'll go to people that want to be more of a passive partner, or they don't want to deal with all the headaches that come with real estate. Or they just don't have all the puzzles they don't have all the pieces to the puzzle to make the puzzle complete. And I'll put everybody together and make one successful puzzle. So that's kind of what I do now, is mostly with partners.
Sure. Do you want to tell us about like either what you're working on or a recent deal you had? Maybe some of the things you did to force that appreciation, and just kind of an overview?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go over one that I just finished. So I just finished a triplex. We purchased this triplex on market. It is a legal non-conforming triplex, and it was right at the beginning of COVID. So I saw that the property was sitting on the market for a while. It was way over market value. They listed it for $680,000 at the time.
Last year,
and it needed a lot of work. Like it was a 2,200 square foot Victorian century home, downtown Hamilton. So at the time, looking at it, it was like, okay, you know what, this property is definitely overvalued. It was tenanted 2 out of 3 units, and the 2 units that were in there, they were paying like way below market rent. Like the one lady up in the attic was paying $550 a month for a 1-bedroom unit, and just chain smoking up there. And then the main floor unit was, I think they were paying like $1,600 a month, and it was like a really big, spacious 2-bedroom unit.
Cool.
So basically, when I approached the agent, and by the way, I didn't use a realtor. I actually went directly to the listing broker so they could double end the deal. That's one of my strategies, is trying to get one person to make double the commission, so they're more incentivized to give me a deal. But anyways, I went directly to him. He basically, he worked with me, told me that he wouldn't show me the property unless I had a letter from my mortgage broker saying I could qualify to close the deal. The first time I've ever experienced that before. So they're turning people away left, right, and center. They're not even allowing to show the property because, they had one person already lock up the deal, and then the person backed out. So what I did was I sent a quick email to my mortgage broker. Hey, can you just send me an email saying that I can qualify for this? Even if it's in a private loan, I can qualify. So that's the first hurdle that I had to go through that most people won't go through. The second thing was that the units were significantly under market rent. So that didn't scare me away. Basically, when I got into the property, I saw that I could add value to it through renovations and through increasing the rents and renovating the basement, potentially putting a 4th unit, or at least just finishing it and including that square footage with the main floor, and then getting more rental income overall. So there were a couple of things there where I could add value to the property. I ended up getting the property under contract for $600,000.
Nice.
I got a home inspection on it, which I normally don't do, but I got one on it. And then I went back and renegotiated the deal, another $20,000 off, because there was knob and tube throughout the property, and a whole bunch of other things that he pointed out. And so therefore I negotiated another $20,000 off the property, and I closed firm for $580,000. So to get it a little bit further into the numbers and the deal, basically when I took possession of the property, I was able to relocate the main floor tenants immediately. They were actually already looking for a new place, so it worked out perfect for me. And the lady up in the attic that scared everybody the most, the 18-year chain smoker, paying $550. I basically offered her, said, listen, it's not safe for you to be up here anymore. She was an elderly lady. I paid her first month's rent, last month's rent to relocate to a retirement home. And I paid for her U-Haul with movers to move all her stuff, so she wouldn't have to lift a finger. Cool. So relocated her. We renovated the property in 6 months. We put $180,000 into the deal, and then we refinanced it for $902,000 about 2 months ago.
Nice.
So it was a very big lift on the property. There is a small amount of my partner's capital still remaining in the deal. They were able to refinance about 80% of their invested capital in 6 months. And now the cash flow is roughly $1,600 a month on that property. And, they're making a fantastic cash on cash return every month.
That's awesome. What are the rents that you're getting there, and what's the unit composition?
Okay, so starting up in the attic, we kept it a 1-bedroom unit for $1,300 a month.
All inclusive?
Plus hydro.
Nice. Okay.
The second floor is also a 1-bedroom unit. That's $1,300 a month plus hydro.
Okay.
Now the main floor in the basement, it was zoned illegal non-conforming. So I did actually put a unit in the basement. Like I put a full kitchen, washer and dryer. It's completely separate. There's a fire rated door that separates the first floor and the main floor. So I could rent it out as a 4th unit, but to be honest, we actually just rented out the main floor and the basement to one big family. Okay. And we're getting $2,850 plus hydro a month.
Whoa.
Yeah, because it's a 2-bedroom on the main floor and a 2-bedroom in the basement. So if you think about it, it's 2 separate, 2-bedroom units. And if you break it down, we're only asking for $1,400 a month per floor.
That's still big rent. That's
great. It is.
Is it
big.
Is it in a good area of downtown Hamilton, or are you up north?
It's in a decent area. It's actually right by the Tim Hortons field. So it's in a nice, quiet neighborhood. It's not the best neighborhood, but it's far from the worst.
That's great. Like that $2,850 is pretty awesome for main floor and basement. That's huge.
And the best part is that I don't have to worry about having an illegal unit in the basement, potentially, somebody calling, having to evict the tenants, et cetera, that, the headaches that go along with having a non-conforming unit.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. Did you use a property manager to fill the units, or did you do it yourself?
So I did do it myself. Up until this point, I've been finding all the tenants myself. I actually got a lot of experience doing that, working under a investor from Rockstar Real Estate. Okay. She kind of coached me. Like, she had a handful of student rentals, and I used to find all her students for her. And basically manage all the repairs and stuff. So that's where I got experience with property management. Not the most, but I got an intro to it. And then I've kind of just progressed through the years. So I do find the tenants myself. And yeah, it's a challenge for sure. Like, I had to comb through a lot of bad applicants, but it took about a month or so. And then I ended up getting some good ones.
Awesome. You're at like almost what, 5,500 a month in rent at the place?
It'd be 26 and 28. So yeah, I'm up there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
2850, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. That's huge. That's really good. Awesome results. And you were able to refi it, and you found some partners for it. So did you find your partners, like, did you have them right off the bat, right when you made the offer on the property, or did you find the partners later on, like during the conditional period or whatever else?
I did find them during the conditional period. So I got it locked up. And then the more I do these projects and the more I post stuff online and whatnot, and the more projects I complete with other partners, it kind of, it validates the whole system or the business model, right? So at this point, it's kind of like I have more partners that are willing to do deals than I can find deals, because how hot the market is. Yeah. So at the beginning, it's a little scary when you don't have a partner lined up or money. But at this point, it's like, if the deal is good enough and you have the track record, you're going to find the partner.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you normally find partners from your social media, or do you typically work with people in your sphere?
I typically do work with people in my sphere. It did start with me just posting stuff on social media to show friends and family kind of what I was doing. And then they reached out with interest. So it's mostly been friends and family. I do have a couple partners that have become more so friends and family with me, right? So over the time, or, throughout the last couple of years of them watching my journey and us getting together and meeting and, becoming friends, we've become good partners. So, but it mostly did come from social media. Yeah. I like to post a lot of stuff on Instagram, and I have a lot of fun with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's a great deal to talk about, because first of all, $580 for a legal non-conforming triplex is a great price, even if from last year. You were able to add value and get great rent. So this deal makes a lot of sense.
Thanks, man.
Pretty cool. Like, that's a great result.
The biggest takeaway though is that it didn't make sense while it was sitting on the market, right? At 680, nobody wanted to touch it because it couldn't cash flow, and there was 2 long-term tenants. So you kind of, it's not always about what it looks like at face value. Sometimes you got to dig a little deeper and make a deal versus finding a deal.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I can see a lot of people just looking at that and running the numbers and being like, no, this is no good, move on to the next one. But you were able to, like you said, dig a little deeper. Yeah. You mentioned that you have 2 projects coming up. Can you tell us briefly about that? What are you looking at these days?
Yeah, so I'm super excited about these. So one of them is a single family home that we're converting into a legal duplex that's on the Hamilton Mountain. Yep. Very straightforward. Nothing too crazy about that. Like, it's just like a very cookie cutter deal that I've kind of done in the past. The one that I'm closed, and we actually just closed on that recently, so construction has started. The other one that is starting on August 12th is a 3-unit property. It's also another triplex downtown Hamilton. It's right by the Hamilton General Hospital. Okay. And it also has an unfinished basement, just like my last one. Yeah. So they did have a unit in there way back in the past, but this one, they had water issues at some point. The place is completely vacant, falling apart. The basement's leaking water. There's rodents in there. There's like, it's just a complete, it's a good project. But anyways, that's what I'm coming up on next month, and we're going to renovate the whole thing, put another unit back in the basement, fix it up, refinance it, and just roll with it, just like the last one.
Cool. Yeah. So you got vacant possession on that property?
It was already vacant. The place has been vacant for, to be honest, I don't know how long it's been vacant. It looks like it's been quite a while.
Yeah.
like I said, it needs some serious repairs, and it's a big project. Yeah. So
Those are
the
the best
bonus is that
ones.
it's vacant. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you buy that place?
I literally just got it under contract like 2 days ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So it's
was that
fresh.
an MLS deal or off market?
It was an off market.
Off market. Good for you.
Yeah. Off
Yeah. Are you
market
able to
wholesale.
share the purchase price, or you can't do that now?
No, absolutely. I have it under contract firm. So it's
Yeah.
going through. I paid 625,000 for it.
Wow. That's
Like I said, it is a triplex above grade, all spacious units. It's a 2 bedroom on the main floor, a 2 bedroom on the second floor, and a 1 bedroom up top. It's got a dormer up top, so it's got great ceiling height, not lots of natural sunlight. So it's not like you're in those crammed attics with like no dormer and like no headroom. It's got a fire escape. It's on a laneway. It's got a 400 amp electrical service, which is like unheard of on these smaller multifamily properties. So it checks all the boxes. It's just at this point, rolling up the sleeves and getting it done.
That's great. Those are tough to find. There are a lot of investors looking for that type of property, and I'm pretty sure if that was on the market, even if it's rough, it would have probably gone over 7. I'm pretty sure.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
The renovation is going to be pretty substantial, especially to the level that I like to renovate. Like I like to provide more of a condo-like experience for the tenants, like in-suite washer, dryer, dishwasher, stainless steel appliances, quartz counters. I like to make it look nice to try to get the highest rent possible. And then another thing that we're kind of toying with is, since it's so close to the hospital, I mean, the rental rates already look so good that even being conservative, we should cash flow on that property 1,500-1,600 a month on that one as well. But I'm playing around with the idea of possibly Airbnb it, since it's so close to the hospital. We might be able to double those cash flow numbers. So we'll see. You'll have to stay tuned, and hopefully I dip my toes in the Airbnb business model. We'll see.
I was just going to ask you, have you done any Airbnb stuff, or would this be the first time potentially?
This would be the first time. It's like I'm constantly trying to battle between, do I take on something like that that's more management intensive and create more cash flow for myself, but then lock up more of my time, or do I use my time for more income producing activities like finding more deals and whatnot? So we'll see. Who knows where I'll end up with that one? But at the very least, it's going to be a great cash flowing property. We're going to refinance, majority of the money out as well, and it'll be a good project.
Well, for sure. At that price, there's lots of room for you to improve and refinance and get it all working and get the BRRRR method working for you.
That's my favorite method, man. I know you're involved in that as well. It's too hard not to use that method,
Oh yeah. And with the way the market has been rising, like most people are doing that, right? You don't even have to do anything to the property if you bought in the last 3 years, and you could BRRRR it.
It's true.
It's a matter of speed though. Like if you do what you're doing, you can BRRRR it within 6 months. But the average person, if they're not doing that, it'll take maybe 1, 2, 3 years before they can build up some equity.
For sure. I mean, even 1, 2, 3 years is still a no-brainer. Like it's just, it makes so much sense. It's great. We really do. We're blessed to like be living or investing in such a great spot that has this type of opportunity.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. So I want to jump into the next section, which is the random 5.
Cool.
So I'm going to ask you 5 random questions. You just tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Awesome. Let's do it.
So number 1, if you could eliminate one food, what would it be?
Dairy. Does it have to be like a food group or like
it doesn't matter, whatever you want.
Dairy. To be honest, I already have a food intolerance, so that's an easy one for me to answer. Yeah. Dairy is out for me. I don't eat it. Don't eat it.
I agree with you. Number 2, do you prefer mild or warm weather?
Warm weather for sure, man. I am loving this weather. Like when the summertime comes, the spring, the summer, the fall, my energy just naturally increases through the roof. When wintertime comes, I'm like a bear. Like I hibernate, man, I get depressed. I stay inside. So this is my weather. The warmer it gets, the better it is. And the better it is for everybody around me. So yeah, warm it is.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll be, flying out to somewhere warm in the near future in the winters, right?
It's on the list, man. It's on the list. Like I've been golfing a lot, and I'm thinking about Florida, golf all year round type of thing. So it is definitely on the list. I just need to try to manage the pieces in my life to figure out how that can fit,
Nice.
Yeah.
So actually that kind of ties into the next question. Where do you see yourself retiring?
Where do I see myself retiring? To be honest, retirement is a very weird word for me. I don't ever see myself retiring, even though like I am financially set right now in terms of like financial freedom. I do this because it's fun, and I do this because I know that I can, and I can help other people, and I enjoy the progress, like the process of just scaling, and like this is what I get a kick out of, right?
Yeah.
Taking on big scary projects and pushing myself to the limits of what I think I can handle mentally and emotionally, I guess. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going to retire. I know that for sure. I like Canada. Like I like the weather here 3 months of the year. I think I'll probably see myself buying or even maybe renting a vacation home like Florida or something like that. Or maybe I just like to bounce around. You know, my good friend Robbie is now bouncing, like Robbie Clark, he's bouncing around to Vegas and Miami and doing that, living that lifestyle. So I wouldn't mind doing something like that throughout the wintertime as well. Just kind of being, free and traveling. Nice. And staying in warm weather, 4 months of the year. That's all that's important to me. It doesn't matter where, it's as long as it's hot and, my energy's high.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. Number 4, which teacher had the greatest impact on your life?
Which teacher? To be honest, I don't know. I can't think of any teachers. I don't think any teachers really had a major impact that I can relate back to and recall. I'm sure
Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you know what? I was thinking about school teachers.
I'm joking.
But you are absolutely right. There are other teachers in our lives, like mentors and whatnot. Even if we don't know them personally, through books, podcasts, YouTube. So Robert Kiyosaki was my biggest teacher, 100%. He got me into like, thinking differently about money and life and how to use money and how the whole system is structured. So if it wasn't for that teacher, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today. Yeah. So good call. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. Number 5, which TV show did you watch the most as a child?
See, it goes back, like what I was saying earlier is I was not a normal kid. I didn't really sit in front of the TV. And to this day, I don't watch movies. I don't watch anything on the TV. So, if I had to think back, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe like Power Rangers or something.
I knew you were going to say that.
Did you?
Yeah. I don't know why I knew you were going to say that.
Maybe Power Rangers. It was, it was probably Power Rangers. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. Do you want to tell people how they could reach you, what services you provide?
Sure. Yeah. So if anybody's interested in my journey and what I do, they can reach out to me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Josh Doyle Invests. I also have a YouTube channel. I post there once every so often. It's not super consistent, but I do share my journey on there as well. I show more the in-depth of, the types of renovations I do and the numbers of my projects. That's also Josh Doyle Invests. So you guys can check me out there. In terms of what I do, services I provide, I mean, I buy real estate and I add value to real estate. I like to work with people and just, create win-win scenarios for everybody. So if that's something that interests you, and, you want to be involved, reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you. And yeah, that's it, man.
Awesome. Josh, thanks a lot. I appreciate you sharing your journey,
cool,
the knowledge, the numbers. Some people aren't willing to share all that, so I appreciate it. And I wish you all the best with your closings and with all your ongoing projects.
Thanks, George. I really appreciate it, man. And we'll chat soon. We got to get together soon for lunch and actually meet in person again. And enjoy the weather.
Okay, you too.
Cool.
As always, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the content. And if you did, I ask you to share this with a friend, with a family member, somebody who might benefit. And it's always appreciated if you can leave us a review, especially if you're listening to it on the Apple Podcasts app, or if you're on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, comment, and your support is always appreciated. Thank you very much.